Welcome, heathens and witches, to the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast. A pub chat edition, though. So we've got our drinks.
Remove the label.
Hide the branding.
Hide the brand.
Hide the branding. This is the last of my coffee whiskey. So super jazzed about that. So with these pub chats. Oh, welcome. I'm John Norgrove. This is Julie Norgrove. Intros, stuff. So normally with these pub chats, whatever, dog. So normally with these pub chats, right? Like I come in here with a question or some sort of a thing. And with it being this festive season, I was thinking back to what we talked about last year, whereupon we explored is Santa Claus an egregore thought construct, like a god made by man's beliefs.
Yeah.
So this year for the season, I wanted to talk about the powers and aspects of God King Santa Claus.
So, like, what magical powers Santa has?
What is God King Santa Claus? Exclamation point? Question mark?
It would be question mark,
upside down exclamation point? All three. You know, get them upside down ones that make it all extra zesty. So I actually wrote down some questions because we talked about this yesterday, and I was just like, oh, I'm not going to remember that. Man.
Yeah, we were just riffing, and the problem is when we riff about this stuff beforehand, usually neither of us remember, and then the next time we're
details.
like, oh, we're going to talk about this thing. Let's go. We talked about a bunch of cool stuff.
Yo, dogs, what's going on with this? Okay, so first, let's just talk about Santa Claus's powers. Now, we're going to play some rules here. We're going to insist on some rules here, which is media about Santa Claus is truth.
Okay.
Right? So, like, for instance, in the song, he sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake.
Yeah.
Implies that Santa Claus has some sort of
omnipresence.
Omniscience.
Yeah.
Well, it's not omnipresence. Omnipresence is that he's everywhere.
Well,
omniscience is that he knows what's going on everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So,
well, maybe he's everywhere.
Well, he's definitely not, because you see him moving around and shit. He's like doing a thing. Right? He's not like a background radiation. Right?
But
so
maybe
slightly different.
Okay.
Arguably Jack Frost background radiation.
Okay.
But we're not talking about Jack Frost. We're not there. Okay, so he sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake, so that's clearly that he has some sort of omniscience. However, he's constantly being caught by kids. I was thinking about this earlier today while I was listening to the book that I'm listening to, and I was like, this guy's constantly getting caught by kids. Right? He's constantly putting presents out. Kids who
There's
he's supposed
a whole song about it. I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus.
Who's supposed to? Well, that's different.
Or is it?
He was busy smooching up hot moms.
Well, but he was still caught by a kid.
That's fair. But we're gonna assume that at that point in time he was distracted by the hot mom.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But like, okay, so if he knows when you're awake, that means that he's purposefully being caught sometimes to sow seeds of belief.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Right? Every time you see a movie and Santa Claus is like, what's going on? And the kids are like, what's this? That's on purpose. He's pretending to be surprised and caught because he knows if you're awake. It's in the song.
It is in the song.
Right? So, boom.
Not a lapse in judgment. A strategic moment.
A strategic moment. So that way, like, the one sad kid who's going to take this, like, the most useful, right? Is going to be, like, at school the next, like, you know, a week later or whatever the heck winter break gets out.
The kid who needs to believe in Santa the most.
Yeah, well, it's either to help the kids who are in, like, the most sadness, right? And this is the Santa Claus movie with Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that kid's, like, the most sad or what? I mean, dude was a teenager.
Yeah, but it's like the kid that needs Santa the most.
Right. Except, I don't think that's what that is. I think that he's specifically choosing the kid who is going to, like, spread the lore the best.
To be a super believer.
Yeah, right?
To be one of his priests.
Yeah, sort of. To become a priest of Santa Claus.
No!
To make these kids like like the adults that grow up later and are like a little too into it. Like,
Yeah.
like remember in Santa Claus 2, the Mrs. Claus, that one lady's got like the Santa sweatshirt and she like sings that Sheryl Crow song or Shania Twain song or whatever, like in the restaurant. And Santa is like, this is a lot of stuff right now, my guy. Like, so like it's to convert those adults.
Yeah.
Right. So that like, that's what I think's going on with that. Right. He clearly has some sort of like speed force because he's able to deliver presents to like every person's house.
Or otherwisely noted time shenanigans.
Or the capacity to dilate time.
Yeah.
Which like, this is why I said the term speed force, because the speed force is 50% just real fast. Right? I'm the Flash. I can just run real fast or like move my hands real fast or like put that hot dog back in that bun real fast or fucking whatever.
Yeah.
Right? But also the speed force is just like if I run perfectly still real fast, then time travel or whatever that shit is.
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm saying. Like it's essentially speed force.
Yeah.
Right? So Santa Claus got some sort of speed force.
Yeah.
Right? He also seems to have the capacity to shield himself from people. He seems to be able to like drop off radar. He has some sort of like
invisibility type powers.
Yeah, and sometimes that's powered by like out of magic rock or some shit. But like he's got something like
or
that going on, right? Yeah. Okay. What other like Santa-based powers do we got? He's got fairy dust.
He does have fairy dust,
right?
Yeah,
because you see him sprinkle it on kids to put them back to sleep.
On the reindeer to make them fly. Sometimes,
but sometimes the reindeer eat magical knobs of carrots by a wizard, and that's where they get their power of flight. Which also who the fuck this wizard?
They just have the power of flight. They're just
and sometimes he just like finds them with the power of flight.
Yeah, so speaking of which, that means that he also has the power to communicate with deer and also sometimes other woodland creatures.
See, I don't know. Well,
I mean, not deer, reindeer.
Okay,
specifically.
so Santa Claus from Santa Claus is Coming to Town, the like claymation movie.
Yeah.
That Santa Claus just boldly has the power to communicate.
Yeah,
with he is straight. What's his name? Dr.
Doolittle.
He's got straight Dr. Doolittle powers.
Yeah.
Right? Hundo Pasundo. But in like the Santa Claus movies, like the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies, Santa Claus, it's not that he especially has the power to communicate with reindeer, it's that the reindeer just speak garbly English.
Or is
because those reindeer just speak English.
Or
but like Boomhauser style.
That those reindeer are actually speaking reindeer and we're just hearing the translation.
Well, but no, his son and the elves and inevitably
they
the
also
wife
know the reindeer language?
And inevitably the wife.
Inevitably sounds to me like we're just hearing the translation.
Phil or whatever.
I'm still sticking with we're hearing the translation of the reindeer sounds.
Like, and these people have just like learned to speak reindeer.
Yeah.
Nah, I think these are just smarter than necessary reindeer. Because that one reindeer is like breaking into places to steal candy and gets all like too fat and shit.
That's right.
And that one like child reindeer is like an absolute buffoon, but like saves the day or whatever. Those are just like way too human reindeer. They're just Boomhauser reindeer.
Well, either he has the power to speak to reindeer and other woodland creatures.
Maybe he taught the reindeer,
but also
English.
Maybe he has the ability to like
emit a field of reindeer translation.
No.
Significantly more threatening concept
No.
is that if you're within like 100 clicks of him, you can understand them.
Upgrade their sentience. Like, we read this book, Snow Crash, a while ago, and it was talking about the Sumerian god Enkill.
Yeah.
And in it, they were basically talking about, like, the origin of humans as described by this specific book. I don't know that this necessarily has to do anything with, like, actual ancient Sumerian myths, but we will find out in 2024, because we're doing a deep dive on this guy. But anyway... Like, they talk about, like, the humans not, like, being almost like automatons. Like, they're alive, they have thought, but they're not, like, conscious.
Yeah.
They're not, like, shall we say, woke. But then something happens, and Enkill is able to basically upgrade humans' consciousness level so that they become as we are now. With, like, souls and consciousness and thought and drive and all that other stuff. So, like, maybe he has the ability to grant them consciousness.
Does that
An
just mean that
upgraded form of
Ankiel is the
consciousness.
Sizak Shatterack or whatever? Is he just a Benny
Oh, the
Jesuit?
Quizette Satter.
Is he just a Benny Jesuit? Because like they separate
Jesuit.
they separate
humans
from animals.
Yeah,
like they're all people.
Yeah.
Right?
That could be it.
We should have a conversation about tiers of consciousness, but we definitely shouldn't because that sounds quite evil.
Oh no, that sounds like that's a 2024 thing.
It might be. We'll see what happens there. So yeah, I'm trying to think of if there are any other background.
Okay, so he sees you while you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good.
Well, but that's just the same power still. That's omniscience, right?
Yeah. But how would he know that you've been bad or good? Is he not there seeing it? Is that not omniscience and omnipresence?
No. When he sees you while you're sleeping, he knows if you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. If you take all three of those together,
for goodness sake.
Yeah. If you take all three of those,
I've been needing to do that.
If you take all three of those together, that's still just omniscience.
Okay.
Right? Because like he sees when you're awake, just means that he's aware of the fact that you're awake. He doesn't need to physically be there to do that.
Yeah.
Just like he doesn't need to physically be there to see you rub mud in Sally's hair to be like, oh, Kevin's an asshole. Yeah. Right? He just knows, all right, listen, as like I know everything that's happening with children.
Yeah.
I know that this kid's an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? But also, we do know in some of the movies, so most of the time, this like, he knows if you've been bad or good is a list that he's keeping because it's like too much data to process would be my guess. But also, sometimes he knows if you've been bad or good or awake or asleep because of other Santa Clauses, like sidewalk Santa Clauses ringing the bell. Yeah. They're all spies for the more powerful god Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And snow globes and Christmas lights and Christmas ornaments, he can peer through using his magic snow globe powers. Yeah. So I don't know what that means. So he's either omniscient or has arguably one of the most technologically advanced spy networks that's ever been assembled.
Why not
both? Both are quite threatening.
Why not both? Yeah.
Sure. I do wonder, however, because generally his powers are limited to the power over children.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, he also has the power of rapid body growth.
Oh, yeah.
Because he always gets fat.
Yeah.
And he has the power of rapid beard growth. Because if he shaves his beard, it immediately shows. Well,
he also
but that's
would
mostly
have
Tim Allen.
The power to modify his actual physical form upon necessity. Thinking of jumping down a chimney. Either he's modifying his physical form, or he also has the power to teleport.
So if you look at specifically the Tim Allen power set, the way that they shoot the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies. All right. You see him like squeeze into a tiny tube. Yeah. But then when you see him exit the fireplace, he's not exiting squeezed. Right? Yeah. You see the fireplace like the one that like the best shot is where the radiator goes like and like opens up to like a big fireplace and then he steps out normally.
That's actually more concerning. Okay. That he has the power to modify objects.
It's spatial manipulation.
Yeah.
On the outside, we are from the perspective of an observer, right? Like, let's say the reindeer. So to us, it looks like he's squeezing down. But from his perspective, space is opening up so he can just float down the ladder.
Yeah.
Right? And then exit out of this like large ornate fireplace that doesn't exist, but it exists in the space between the grills of your radiator as the heat source during his celebratory evening.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Also he has he can make things bigger on the inside. So the Santa Claus sack is a spatial distortion, which again, it's just like the fireplaces. It's just spatial distortion, except for the one animated movie where the sack is a portal back to the North Pole.
Yeah.
But I think more often it's just a bottomless sack of endless void.
Yeah.
So that's horrifying and gangster.
Yeah.
And it appears that, if we're just putting this out there, the elves are making toys to keep them occupied as like a well-oiled slave labor machine. Because when he reaches into that sack, he just pulls out the exact right gift every time. So in my mind, the sack is a formless void that he's pulling and compressing shadow into reality out of, right? Yeah. Like pure Christmas magic. into your PS5 or whatever the heck, and he's just keeping the elves occupied. Okay, so to that end, we have mentioned keeping the elves occupied and the slave labor of the elves, and his magic fairy powder, when he like sometimes he bumps his nose, which I cannot stress how amazing the joke is that when Santa Claus gives his nose a little tap tap, magic powder,
magic dust
makes everything
out.
better.
Yeah,
sir, that's precisely how magic dust works. If you know what we're saying, Santa Claus might have a problem.
Ask a friend.
So to that end, right, in most tales, Santa Claus is a mortal man who either through murder, like a Highlander, or through the raw desire to give children free shit, he attains the transcendental power of becoming God, the God Santa Claus.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
However, he's also king of the elves.
Yeah, he has to be.
Right?
Otherwise,
well, in some stories, they straight
guess,
call him king of the elves.
Yeah.
When it's not transcended God. So Santa Claus, this is why I say God King Santa Claus. Because Santa Claus is either presented as a mortal man who transcended into godhood through the raw desire to give kids free shit, or because he committed Highlander-style murder and stole Santa's power, right? So, God. Or he's a king, specifically the king of the elves. They were already some motherfuckers, and he was already there. He was just the big one, so they're like, yes, this guy's
And like,
charge.
Sometimes they're like, hey, you're like super smart.
Yeah, or like they found him as a baby and raised him as a kid.
Also, I need to interject here. We just watched the new Mario movie, and that's basically Princess Peach.
Yeah, she was just found by the Toads, and they're just like,
Peach,
she's big, so she's
just
the queen
a rip
now.
off of Santa Claus.
Yeah, she's just Mushroom Santa Claus. Frankly, I'm into that. I'm okay with that. Mushroom Santa Claus, very cool. Okay, so God King Santa Claus, right? But also these elves aren't. In my mind, right, we've got two kind of elves ever discussed, right? We've got Lord of the Rings elves, tall, beautiful, like a little bit of assholes. And the blur is a bit intense whenever you're looking at them, right?
It's because they're filled with the light of Aul.
Yeah, I think they're just emitting a small amount of background radiation, and that blue glow you're seeing is called Cherenkov radiation. It's what happens when beta decayed neutrons slam into the water in your eyeballs. But yeah, sure, they're just like glowy and beautiful. Definitely not radioactive. Whatever. So we've got tall, beautiful elves, and then we got Santa's elves, which are generally like leprechaun size.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the movie leprechaun size. Or smaller. Some of these bloody Christmas movies, elves are like a hamster.
Yeah.
You know? So I wonder, with Santa being sometimes their king, and with the fact that, like, if you go to the North Pole, you're generally trapped there, right?
Yeah.
And it being like a secret land that's like not seen by humans, but
really
certain humans can get there. And the fact that they're small, and he seems to have all these majestic powers, maybe he's just king of the fairies. And maybe these elves are just the fae.
Well, and
maybe Santa's just snow fae.
Yeah, and we've talked about this in like a few fairy episodes. And I did and I'm putting together a fae class, and we're actually going to talk a bit about that. But like a lot of times the term elves, or the way that elves are treated, is synonymous and completely interchangeable with the fae or the fairy folk.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's just like
so perhaps
in
Santa's
Norse
elves
mythology,
are just
you have
a race
elves
of
and dark
Santa's
elves.
Yeah,
and dark elves is just the word for dwarves.
Yeah,
but like you call them dark elves, which is why like in the Marvel movies there are also dwarves, but then there's just like shadow elves.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Or whatever. So like maybe Santa Claus is just king of the fae, bloody the other one with a sweet beard and a punch off for food.
The Dagda. Maybe Santa Claus.
Maybe Santa's just Snow Dagda.
The Dagda.
Yeah.
You know, big guy, jolly. Very protective of his people.
Watching a thing on TikTok where some lady was like, wherever she was from, she was like, in my language, the name we use for Santa Claus is just like Daddy Winter. or something like that. I just saw like a TikTok about that the other day.
That sounds that sounds a little sexy.
It sounds exactly as appropriate as you expect Santa Claus to be. Because I'm team who's that like Russian Santa Claus from that animated one with like Jack Frost and Santa Claus and like Mother Earth.
I don't remember.
And the rabbit, the Easter rabbit.
But that's a good one. That's a really
great
good
depiction
one.
of Santa Claus. Also, another sweet, rad rock and roll Santa is the Santa Claus one where the kid's like real sad, but he's like 15.
That's the Kurt Russell.
The Kurt Russell one. I
can't
can't
think
think
of Chronicles. I think
Santa Chronicles. That's what it is. So like maybe this guy, Dagda. Just putting that out there as an option.
Maybe. And also the connection to the Fae realm.
There's a lot of Fae connections in this. Like often if you eat or drink something in there, you're trapped. Yeah. The elves like don't want the secret held. This dude got mad Fae-like powers.
Yeah.
Right? So, but also maybe we're learning the Fae are Highlanders. Whatever. Or at least they're king.
I mean, some of them are. I feel like it's a bit of a lawless place.
Yeah, right? Okay, so then we also have, let's talk about, like, the general idea. Okay, let's assume that he's the transcended mortal form into a god, whether that's the god of the Fae or not or the king of the Fae or not is entirely negligible. All right, so, like, what is he the god of? Right? So, and the reason why I said, why we posed this question last time, right? Or earlier when we were talking about this, is what is he the god of? And we never really came up with a hard solution, right?
We just kind of we went a little off topic.
Right. But like, okay, so Christmas is just his feast day.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's just his celebration.
Like how you have a feast day for other deities.
Yeah. Or, you know, and it's like, oh, like he's got all the symbols, he's got all the ritual, he's got all the snacks and foods
this is
and
just
shit.
this is just his anthesteria.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, like, what is Santa the god of? Again, is he the god of giving kids free shit?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's certainly one of his aspects. I mean, that's the beauty of it is
also
you
one
can have
of his
multiple aspects.
Right? So, and generally, Santa Claus as a god, is he the god of Coca-Cola?
Also, yes.
Because, like, they kind of made modern Santa Claus what he is.
Santa Claus, patron saint
of Coca-Cola. And
it's his blood. It's his blood,
right?
Yeah.
Is it like
the cookies are his body? The Coke is his blood.
Is it like blood of Christ, blood of Santa Claus? It's just a sweet can of Coca-Cola.
Perhaps one of Santa's powers is to stave off the beatus.
Yeah, I mean that guy eats a lot of candy, so
yeah.
Yes, one of his powers is definitely regulating blood sugar.
Yeah,
so,
I feel like Santa Claus as a patron deity of blood sugar regulation absolutely tracks.
Right?
What is that diabetes medicine that like a bunch of people are taking to like lose weight?
Oh my god, yeah. He's like the patron saint of whatever that is, Ozempic or whatever the hell it is.
Well, there's like a weight loss one. There's one that there's for diabetes.
Yeah.
And then there's one that's like for ADHD that like a bunch of people are taking to
a bunch of like fancy people
weight.
Are using for like food and or for like weight loss and stuff. But like, so you gotta ask yourself, if he's a god, right? Like, what is he the god of specifically? Like, obviously he has a bunch of aspects, but like, did he just spec into, because he's like primarily recognized around the holiday, but you also have that like whole Christmas in July movement, and you've got like vacation Santa energy as like a thing, right? So like, I wonder if he's the god of
good cheer.
He could be the god of good cheer.
Yeah.
Right? He could be the god of just giving.
Yeah, the god of giving. Ooh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because if you think about it, really a lot of the things that we're talking about is he's giving something. Like,
well, and you give good cheer.
Santa's
you don't even sell, you don't
good
have
cheer.
good cheer. You
Santa's
give
given the power of flight. Santa's given those elves something to do.
Yeah.
Santa's given kids presents. The thought of Santa forces adults to give good cheer. Apparently, he's also giving Big Daddy vibes.
Apparently. Dog. So like, is Santa Claus like, you know what? I feel like if I'm gonna make a call on this, I'm gonna say that Santa Claus is the god of giving.
Yes, Santa Claus, god of giving.
The god of, if you want to be specific, maybe the god of winter giving, which is like giving in like the darkest, coldest time of the year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, that's even more important giving, like, giving in the darkest place.
Yeah.
Plus, all of his stories are about, like, a kid who really needs a little bit of hope, and then he, like, gives that kid hope or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? You know.
And all of his origin stories
doesn't want you to
are,
play
like,
with toys no more.
incredibly altruistic.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, like, the god of giving, and then it kind of, like, fractures into
giving.
different places.
Totally.
Yeah.
And if he's the god of giving, all right, what is his nemesis?
The god of taking.
Right? I mean, conceptually, but what does that mean?
I mean, in a way, that's like the god of death, so...
Right. Well, I feel like, because we were talking about this last night, like, who is Santa's nemesis?
Well, you had decided it was Jack Frost.
I think it's Jack Frost, for several reasons. One, right, Jack Frost is the cold. He is the blizzard. He is the storm. Also, how frequently is a Santa Claus story like, I was trying to get these sad kids some toys, and it just got blizzardy, so I can't do that shit until, like, the reindeer mutate the power of headlights.
Which clearly they're able to do.
Well, yeah, again, background radiation, guys. Background radiation.
Yeah.
Maybe they are elves. Maybe they are emitting some sort of Christmas radiation.
I mean, maybe.
Right?
Yeah,
some
maybe
sort of
that's
Christmas,
maybe that's actually an elf thing.
Some
they
sort of
emit,
Christmas,
like
fungal, like,
I feel like we're
network.
learning that Santa is also the alien race from that, like, alien movie Prometheus, where they're like, we made humans so they would carry these genetic
bit or whatever the heck,
thing to make more of us. Like, maybe that's it. Santa is Prometheus.
So you got, like, blizzards shutting them down all the time.
Yeah.
Right? You've got the idea that, like, Santa Claus is bringing, like, hope and cheer and goodness at the coldest
also
time.
Greed. I mean, greed would be the direct opposition to freely giving.
Right. Well, and in the Tim Allen,
Although
in the third Tim
like
Allen movie,
greed,
Jack Frost is the bad guy.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to greed,
right,
you've kind of, like, got, like... like a like Santa has it like a posse.
If you were to American God the story and, like, purely talk about this as, like, a thing, then, like, Santa Claus is both the saint, like the god of and antithetical to capitalism.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
He's like within the
so
greater,
the Monopoly,
like,
guy is his arch nemesis.
Amazon. No, I mean, I think, like, corporate greed.
Yeah,
is
no, but, like, Santa has.
Specifically,
I feel like Santa's got, like, a posse that kind of helps to, like, flesh that out because, like, some of it is greed. Sometimes it's Jack Frost. Sometimes it's, like, the weather, right?
Yeah.
But Santa Claus also has, like, those three ghosts from A Christmas Carol.
Yeah,
those are definitely
work for him.
Yeah, they definitely work for him.
Yeah.
Basically, like, Santa was busy doing Santa shit.
Yeah.
When, like, the events of A Christmas Carol happened.
But if you think about that,
like on Donner on Blitzen.
Santa Claus really doesn't fuck with humans,
Ghost
right?
Of Christmas
or with adults. Well, hold on. Santa Claus doesn't really fuck with adults.
Yeah, so
right?
he's got people for that.
Well, that's what the ghosts do. So
yeah.
Is it that he has people, or is it that, like, when you have wonder, like childlike wonder in your heart, Santa Claus comes to help you through your troubles in the darkest part of winter, and when you become an adult and you no longer have that childlike wonder in your heart and you're becoming a dick. Instead, ghosts show up.
I think
right? Is Santa Claus like, I can't help adults. They're annoying. I don't want to talk to them. So, you know what? Ghosts. And the ghosts are like, let's fucking rock and roll this. Because in general, the three ghosts are like a real sad person who's like a little deranged, right? Ghost of Christmas Past, sad derangement. Ghost of Christmas Present, arguably one of the most fucked up portrayals of anything ever. Because you're like, oh man, look at this, like, jolly fun guy. Doesn't he seem great? Slam cut to 10 minutes later when he's wasting away. And you're like, all right, man, this is a kid's movie. And this is fucking dark. I do not know what is happening right now. And then Ghost of Christmas Future is just actually death. The actual anthropomorphization of death, like Grim Reaper through and through, shows up and is like, listen, Ted was sick. I'm gonna fill his space. And it worked so damn well he got the job. You know what I mean?
Would you say that this is essentially a threefold equivalent of a different aspect of Santa Claus, like how most deities have multiple aspects?
Sure.
Or would this is like part of his mother maiden crone thing. It's like Santa Claus, and then you flip the Nightmare Before Christmas mayor head, and you have three ghosts. Or is it part of a posse of gods that he both rolls with and also commands, like a biker gang?
In general, the Ghost of Christmas Present is basically like more Dagda Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Right? He's just like green Santa instead of red Santa or whatever. So I think that in general, I think that.
But also, where you see the Ghost of Christmas Present, Santa Claus never exists at the same time as the Ghost of Christmas Present.
Right.
So perhaps it is like a triple god
I think that's an
thing.
adult thing. What if? Because obviously kids aren't getting all sort of like past and future shit. What if Santa Claus and the Ghost of Christmas Present are like two sides of the same coin?
Yes.
Right? So, like, yes, Santa Claus does have three aspects. He is a triple god in the, like, past, present, future thing. But for children, they have no past.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're too young.
Yeah.
To really have a past. The past colors them, and the ones who are colored by the past, as opposed to the journey of like, look at how beautiful your past was, look at how much of an ass you are now, look at how you're gonna die sad and alone, right? Santa Claus is like, I don't need to show them their past, because that's what's brought them to this place, right? So they don't have to receive so the Ghost of Christmas Past doesn't have a child aspect.
Yeah.
Right? The Ghost of Christmas Present, who's the one who teaches lessons, who explains everything clearly about like what's wrong and how to fix it, right? That ghost has a child aspect, right? In the form of Santa Claus, who's like helping these kids out by showing them that there's hope in the world. And then obviously the Ghost of Christmas Future doesn't need a child aspect because it's always death, right? But like, you don't need to explain that to a kid. They're not going to get anything out of that. Conceptually, they either don't have the capacity to understand that if it's a young enough child, like, or enough necessary, like, experience to, like, properly and reasonably understand it. And again, all they need is hope. They don't need, the reason why it works for adults, the three ghosts, is because they need to, like, remind you how you could be awesome, because you were when you were a kid, or like younger. Yeah. And then Ghost of Christmas Present does all the heavy lifting by being like, hey, so you saw how you used to like smile and laugh and stuff? Well, maybe you should try doing that a little bit, my dude, because you're a bit of a dick right now. Maybe you need to chill out, dog, with all this like crotchety shit. Just putting it out there. Also, my boy is about ready to show you some real fucked up shit. So, good luck with that guy. He's not going to say no words. And then Future does it. So in my mind, Santa Claus is a aspect specifically engineered, right? Like specifically pulled from the triple god of the Ghosts of Christmas Past, Present, and Future in order to specifically communicate with children. Because they don't need a past, because that wouldn't help, right? Because generally their trauma or drama or issue is rooted in the past. So showing them that isn't going to do anything except for like re-scar that child.
Yeah.
Right? So that's not useful. And showing them death is for sure going to scar that child and not useful.
Well, I would argue that the kids don't need those aspects.
Well, I mean, they don't need them.
Like, the more I think about it, Santa is not 4 aspects, but Santa is 3 aspects.
Oh, he's just 3. No, it's a triple, right? It's a triple god
thing.
Yeah.
And, like, the kids, the kids, like, when you think about, like, kids in Santa movies, it's all about Christmas present, which also feeds into Christmas future, right? But like, he doesn't need to go into those other aspects for kids because they are just straight down the middle, Christmas present. But adults got more shit going on in their heads.
They got all kind of baggage. So
they gotta he's gotta he's gotta dust off the other aspects. Yeah. And let me tell you, I have never wanted to sculpt this so bad in my life. I really
triple
wanna,
god, the triple
like
Santa
how you
Claus?
See the like triple like goddess figures where there's like 3 of them.
Yeah.
And then you just like turn it. I got projects now.
Yeah, we got projects now.
Yeah, I got projects now.
You're welcome, Santa Claus lore. What's up? I know so much about this guy. So yeah, I'm
here for it. Yes, yeah. I totally agree with you.
And what are the 3 ghosts giving? Lessons.
They are giving lessons.
You know what they're giving you? Fucking consequences for your actions.
Well, but they're not just giving you consequences for your actions. Like, and that's especially Ghost of Christmas Future's thing. But like Ghost of Christmas Past has their own like aspects associated with them. They deal with the fond memories.
Right,
and the paths that you have already trodden.
But
so in a way,
are specifically a consequence to an action. Even
Yes.
the fact that they show up is always predicated on, listen, if you're just a regular dick, that's fine. But if you are like a no coal for Christmas tier dick,
Yeah.
3 ghosts are about ready to really traumatize the shit out of you, bro. That's what I'm saying. They're given the gift of find out. Right, because you fucked around, and now you're deep finding out.
Like,
with these ghosts.
I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I'm just saying, like, each facet of the past, present, future, has its own like archetypes, like god of some things with it. So, like the god of Christmas, the spirit of Christmas past, the god of Christmas past.
Well, it's the god of Christmas.
Basically,
but
no,
the aspect
of Christmas past is like about memories and nostalgia and recapturing the magic.
Well, it's about what joy was.
Yeah, what joy was.
But also about what was lost. Because the Ghost of Christmas Past is a fucking nightmare, dude. Like, she is not chill, bro.
Usually not. Yeah.
She brings big unchill energy. Scrooged, she's arguably a psychopath.
Yeah.
Right? In the like Bob Cratchit one, she's constantly like, remember when you used to sing and dance?
Well,
that's
the
like
Ghost
a real
of
hot
Christmas
chick
Past,
that you just let
no,
pass
the Ghost
up,
of
bro.
Christmas Past and Scrooged is the guy, the taxi driver.
Oh, I'm sorry, the taxi driver, not the chick. The taxi driver, who's just a bold ass. Bro.
Yeah. Well,
he's showing you, like, he was showing some dark shit.
Well,
right?
they always the Ghost of Christmas Past is always
giving you find out.
Yeah, well, they're giving you they're not giving you just find out, but they're giving you additional context. They're giving you this idea that these other it's not even judgment though. They're bringing receipts.
I don't know. That taxi driver was pretty judgy.
Yeah, I mean they are, but like he's bringing receipts.
It was a choice cut of meat. So
the Christmas Past aspect is like memories, additional knowledge to like expand your worldview, because like there's this thing where like a lot of people don't realize that like literally every person you pass on the street also has a complex and vibrant web of memories, experiences, and like life. So think about that the next time you're walking past
some people's webs less vibrant. Some people
that's
need
the thought
more,
of Christmas Past.
need
It's
more
like
glitter
nostalgia,
on their web.
it's broadening a worldview, it's hindsight is 20/20, right?
Yeah.
Those are the sort of aspects there.
It's all a real nice way of saying judgment.
I mean, it is.
Find out and judgment. I love it.
No, the God of Christmas Future is more of the find out.
I think all 3 of them are find out and judgment.
I mean, yeah.
Pretty heavily.
Yes, but they each have individual things too that the others don't
I mean,
really
the past,
share.
present, and future.
Yeah, so the God of Christmas Future, the aspect of Christmas Future, is more along the lines of consequences for your actions. Like, that's it. Like, it's consequences. That's not receipts been brought. That's IOUs are in the mail.
Sure, sure.
Checks in the mail, my guy.
But also, it's not just death, right? Because like he doesn't just like Ghost of Christmas Future isn't only look at his hole, push him in this hole. Look at this guy.
It's not just mortality
right?
check for sure.
It's also look at all this guy's stuff. Hey, your stuff didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Homeless people are taking it for pennies, or like that one dude Earl died and was frozen in the sewer, or like whatever dark nonsense that is, right? So like, I mean, they're all consequences. They're all the second half of giving.
Moments are precious,
right?
Is also
they're
Christmas
all moments
Future.
but that's also still regular ass for kids Santa Claus.
That's true, yeah.
Right? He's teaching these kids to accept. He's teaching these kids to give. He's teaching these kids don't be a dick.
That's why they're
He's
all
threatening
aspects.
him that he watches them constantly, so don't do bad things. Which is like maybe a little bit of Ghost of Christmas Future peeking out, being like, "What's up, spooky stuff?"
Well, yeah, that's why they're aspects of the same deity.
Right?
They're all similar, but the aspects themselves, like the slight left or the right shift, are like a little.
It's just
different.
how it's presented to the motherfucker. Regardless of the fact that this trifled god is also a Highlander.
Yes, also
and
generally
maybe
a
the
Highlander.
Dagda.
And maybe the Dagda.
Or maybe the Dagda's a Highlander. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe Highlanders. Oh my god. Could you imagine if they made a Highlander movie, like a new one, and it was just like Fey magic was the Highlander power?
Love it.
Yeah. There could be only one.
Love
bro.
it. I would go see that in the theater.
So I would watch the shit out of that. So hell, I would help write that. I know a lot about Highlander and a lot about Fey magic. So what's up, whoever owns the rights to Highlander?
I have no idea.
I have no clue, man.
I don't know.
Whoever you are, what's up? Hire me. I'll consult. Okay, and then the last thing that I wanted to bring up before we wrap up this meta-analysis of God King Santa Claus is, wouldn't it? So Christmas used to be like, it starts on the 24th or 23rd, and then it goes until like the 6th or 7th of January. Sometimes the 12th of January, right? Because it was like the Christmas season.
Yeah.
Right? So now Christmas ends essentially December 26th, sometimes December 25 and 3/4, because you're done with your fucking family. Well, that's fine.
I definitely know families that start taking down all of their decorations on Christmas Day.
Yeah, like that. Some families have
like
that tradition,
thing,
right? Okay. And like, but also, like, we're seeing Christmas shit arriving in the big box stores as early as September.
Yeah, why is Christmas and Halloween battling in October? We don't need that.
Well, I wouldn't say that they're battling. I think that
yes.
I think that Christmas is steamrolling and Halloween is like, good luck, bro. Like, you can do as much Christmas as you want, but Halloween kids, right? Like it don't matter how hard you try. That goth kid's gonna buy a black Santa hat. He ain't wearing a red and white Santa hat. You know what I'm saying? So Halloween is like safe and secure in the fact that like it's an unmovable
we're on the top
object.
of the castle telling the Santa kids that their father smells of elderberries.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, 'tis a silly place. But so would Christmas's push backwards into September be shitty capitalists trying to make more money and manipulate your minds, or is it God King Santa Claus grabbing for power in the American war for our warship?
I'm gonna say why not both?
Because maybe Santa Claus is like just a touch evil.
Well, yeah.
Right? Like just a wee bit.
See the conversation about the spirits and the elves. Spirits.
So, like, I think if we're gonna look at Santa Claus from this perspective, that we have to look at this as a Santa Claus is grabbing for power by pushing backwards. Like he can't like fully overthrow.
But why can't he push forwards?
Halloween. What I mean. He used to have that time. into
this idea that like rather than decorating for Christmas earlier and earlier, like into November, like don't do that. Like just leave your decorations up for longer. Yeah. What is January giving you otherwise to look forward to?
Oh, my birthday. You guys should all celebrate that. New holiday. It's Jonathan's birthday. It's just like Christmas, but purple.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
So you set up a tree, decorate it with purple, make it a different kind of tree.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not against it. It's a bonsai.
It's a bonsai.
It's a tiny tree.
It's a small tree.
It's a small tree. Yeah.
A small forest of trees.
We over the last couple of years have been shifting to like have our decorations up later and then also
it is officially the 14th and we have not put anything up except for the wreath of power.
Except for the wreath because that's going to be our tree this year.
Yeah.
But also part of the nature of that is because we own our own retail business.
Yeah.
And we are busy up until like right about now.
Yeah, it's only just slowing down enough for us to be able to like do the work, for a lack of better words.
To give us like a couple of days.
Like we're literally putting up Christmas decorations like this upcoming Saturday. Right? Yeah. Like that was when we booked it.
Yeah, but we're also not taking them down until probably my in
birthday.
Bulk.
Yeah, or later. Yeah. Depending on which decorations it is.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, we tend to do the, like, leave them up throughout winter thing.
Because back in ye old times, Yuletide was like a 2 to 3 month period. We talk about this in a couple of the Yule episodes. I don't remember which ones specifically, but it was generally like a 2 to 3 month period because, like, what are you in the before car times where you're trying to like go and visit family and friends and give them like season's greetings?
Yeah.
Well, you can't like FaceTime them and you can't drive the car. And what if the weather is inclement or if somebody's sick? You're just going to wait until you can like shovel yourself out. And
well, and it's the time when everybody needs to like be together and like it's cold and dark. So you need as much of that like hope and whatever as possible. But
so extend it. Please, help
push
us.
it that way. You don't need to do anything before Thanksgiving, honestly. It's stupid. Thanksgiving already has decorations. You get like cornucopias and like pumpkins and shit.
Yeah, and like fall leaves.
And like turkeys.
Thanksgiving is basically Halloween, but without neon green.
Yeah. Although I guess Thanksgiving's only American. So if you don't have Thanksgiving in your country, just bring it.
Or
just bring it. It's a feast.
Yeah, just bring it.
No.
Also,
listen, Thanksgiving has nothing to do with real American history. It's literally just fake marketing news to try and convince us about like lies. So just like my Thanksgiving celebration is the celebration of a feast. You know what I want to have? Turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and gravy. I can do that at any time, but there's a special day for it. So that's what we're going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's my jam.
I read on a blog like a while ago that November is a time to sit with death. And I think about that every year in November. So I move to keep Halloween stuff mostly up through November. And November, when you still have light and like the beauty of the trees, that's when you do your shadow work. Don't do your shadow work in December, babes. Yeah. Don't do your shadow work in January or February, babes. Yeah, you don't need that.
Do Christmas in those months.
Yeah, do like party time Halloween spoopy season and then go into shadow work reflection time while the rest of the leaves fall off the tree before you get together and like celebrate with a bunch of food, and then you have Christmas Yule time, and then basically when that's over you're starting to prepare for spring.
Well, like you should be starting to prepare for spring like in January.
That's exactly it. There. So January.
I completely agree. Plus, everybody loves Halloween decorations. They're the best.
Yeah.
So
start Halloween
do
early.
more of that. Start Halloween with trick-or-treating. End Halloween with a delicious feast.
Yeah.
A bird and like potatoes and like stuffing, which is just bread pudding. It's just savory bread pudding.
Yeah, I'm going to move to make it Hallowtide.
Yeah, Hallowtide. I like it.
Hallowtide and then Yuletide and then Springtide.
I don't know. I don't
know about springtime.
Austeritide?
Nope, don't like that.
Austertide?
Nope, don't like that.
I don't know. We'll work on it. We'll workshop it. What do you think it should be called? Speaking of what do you think it should be called, this was what we were talking about with Santa Clause. This is Power Set. This is some thoughts on what Santa is. So what have we discovered here? Santa Claus is an omniscient triple god who has Highlander powers and might actually secretly be the Dagda. The elves are probably slave labor, but they get houses out of it, so it's a company town, right? I guess people
Santa
think that's
also
good.
has the power to regulate his blood sugar.
Yeah, he's the god of regulating your blood sugar and gift giving. And the one that we like, Santa Claus, the not terrifying one who's shattered into 3 ghosts, is primarily for people with hope and wonder and kindness in their hearts, like children, or a few weird adults. So be one of those weird adults, because if you're not, 3 ghosts are going to give you fucking PTSD.
Yeah, the other thing we learned is apparently for the next week or so, I'm going to be hyperfixating on creating a sculpture.
Yeah, well.
So, you know.
That's her problem, not my problem.
Would you like to see a triple Santa God sculpture?
Yes, I would.
Tell us.
Actually.
Yeah.
But I don't
apparently
do that.
a thing that I'm going to do now. Yeah.
What do you think about all that? Did we miss any of Santa Claus's powers? Who do you think is his nemesis? What do you think he's the god of? And how are you going to celebrate this Santa Claus, the God King Santa Claus feast day? I think we're having ham.
Oh, we have not actually talked about what we're going to
I assumed we had already had a plan.
Nope, not at all.
I don't remember things.
Not at all.
But yeah, anywho, I've been John Norgrove. This has been Julie Norgrove. This has been the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast Pub Chat Edition, where we drink and we talk about whatever the heck I want to. Yay. Let us know what you thought about any of those things, and we will catch you guys next time for more magical goodness. Happy Yuletide, blessed
Merry
Christmas,
Yuletide.
Merry Hanukkah, all of the celebration. Something Kwanzaa, Happy Kwanzaa. I think you say Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa. whatever, dog. Like, have a good time and don't be a dick. I feel like the TLDR, the like deep lesson for like Yuletide, like winter season holidays is don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if we all work together, we can survive this blistering cold and darkness and like nothing surviving and us having to eat leftover food in a cave somewhere. So maybe humans could learn something from that working together thing as opposed to all just being assholes. So
yeah,
I don't know, whatever. Good luck with that. Stay magical, folks.
And don't forget, breathe in self-confidence and breathe out self-doubt.